Stephen Colbert's show has been canceled. It's great. Great news, is it not?
This is incredible on so many levels, and I'm going to call him on this.
I love how they claimed it's a financial reason, but everything is a financial reason, right? If you open up a restaurant, you serve lousy food, people stop coming, you close it, you don't say because the food sucked. Instead, well, it was a financial reason. But they didn't just they didn't cancel his show. They canceled the whole show.
Yeah.
This was a quote institution, and they said rather than put somebody in his place, they just said we're closing up. I mean, imagine being a chef. You know, you're such a bad chef that they cancel food.
When Stephen Colbert's show finally got the axe, Megyn Kelly and Greg Gutfeld didn't just respond, they went full scorched earth. Armed with wit, receipts, and zero patience for pretentious comedy, they tore through his legacy like it was an overcooked buffet. Gone were the laugh tracks, the phony virtue, and the try-hard skits, exposed for what they really were, white noise with a smug grin. This wasn't just a roast, it was a full-blown autopsy. Colbert didn't walk off into the sunset, he was dragged off stage, one cringy monologue at a time.
Bellany, founding partner of Puck News, and formerly Hollywood Reporter. The timing and optics, he says, are terrible for the Colbert cancellation. Not true, not true, not true. The timing and optics are perfect. Only leftists think that the timing and optics are terrible because they think somehow this was retaliatory because Stephen Colbert was ripping on CBS for entering into that $16 million settlement with Donald Trump, who was suing them over the 60 Minutes Kamala Harris interview and the edited clips, claiming it was a deceptive practice under Texas law.
It's amazing. I mean, I guess he's less popular than Shingles, but you get this, it's so obvious. You can't do a comedy show and a sermon at the same time. Your job is to say something funny, not being the show that says, that's not funny, about all the things that are just too grim to talk about.
Colbert's cancellation wasn't shocking, it was overdue like a library book from 2016. The real surprise? That it took this long for execs to admit their golden boy ran out of gas and punchlines. If smugness could fuel a jet, Colbert would've been Air Force One. But comedy, not so much. He spent years lerping as a late-night legend while microwaving takes from Twitter and calling it satire. Now the final curtain drops on what became America's most well-lit nap.
Yeah, I share your feelings. It's not just the end of our show, but it's the end of the Late Show on CBS. I'm not being replaced. This is all just going away. And I do want to say that the folks at CBS have been great partners. I'm so grateful to the Tiffany Network for giving me this chair and this beautiful theater to call home. And of course, I'm grateful to you, the audience, who have joined us.
Megyn Kelly didn't just grab popcorn, she brought a front row seat and a verbal flamethrower. Watching her break down Colbert's legacy felt less like commentary and more like an academic takedown of a guy who thought memes were masters theses. She dissected his career like a teacher tired of grading TikTok essays. The final grade, a fat red F, stapled to a participation trophy, wrapped in a TED Talk.
Here's Stephen Colbert grappling with that news.
Now, if, like me, you're wondering why the Department of Energy is the one making this judgment, it's because that agency oversees a network of U.S. national laboratories, some of which conduct advanced biological research. No. Bad energy department. No biolabs until you finish building your electric car charging station.
Greg Gutfeld wasn't there to critique, he came to bury. If Megyn was surgical, Gutfeld was nuclear. He treated Colbert's fall like a demolition derby, and cheered every flaming flip of what was left of Colbert's credibility. He'd watched Stephen try to out-funny drywall and lose for years. His reaction wasn't shock, it was relief. The type that builds after watching someone juggle smugness and irrelevance for so long, you almost admire the endurance. Almost.
Here's a sample of what his show looked like in recent months. And this, I would submit to you, is why Stephen Colbert's show is no more.
Going on in LA reminds us that as citizens, it is crucial to speak out against Trump's fascist impulses, his rampant corruption, and his egregious violations of our norms and our laws. The last time a president bypassed a governor to send in the National Guard was 1965, when LBJ used troops to protect civil rights demonstrators in Alabama. So we've come full circle. Troops were deployed to protect protesters by Lyndon B. Johnson, and now they're being used to threaten protesters.
Colbert's comedic collapse didn't happen overnight. It was a slow-motion car crash that started the second he ditched Edge for applause. His Comedy Central days. Legendary, satire, with teeth. But once he made it to network TV, he swapped fire for bumper stickers. His whole act morphed into one long exhale. If moral smugness had a laugh track, it'd sound exactly like the Stephen Colbert Show.
Oh, hey, everybody. We got a great show for you tonight. Senator Adam Schiff was my guest. We harmonized on 7 Bridges Road. What a voice, I cried. But before we start the show, I want to let you know something that I found out just last night. Next year will be our last season. The network will be ending the...
This guy didn't deliver jokes. He hosted clap-alongs. Every monologue felt like a TED Talk with worse lighting and an audience that thought kale was a personality trait. People didn't laugh because it was funny, they laughed because it was expected. That's not comedy. That's culty. Megyn Kelly nailed it. This wasn't a political hit job or some media conspiracy. Colbert got axed because without the progressive comic starter pack, mocking Walmart, sobbing over court rulings, and looking down on the flyover states, he had nothing. Just dead air and a dancing syringe.
Happy about the fight, but I'm just saying I'm not like sad and all these people are like forlorn over. It's like, all right, grow up. They're having a dispute. It was bound to happen. They'll get past it. As you point out, Trump is extremely forgiving, and I'm sure Elon is too. I mean, Trump's not, whatever. Laura Ingraham reported last night she's been told it's irreparable. Nothing is irreparable with Donald Trump. Nothing is irreparable. But here's how the late night losers were making fun of it.
Elon gave us a fun one. Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT.
Gutfeld didn't need to dig. The lowlights wrote themselves. Remember the vaccine dance? Comedies, rock bottom. Or those fake presidential addresses that felt like rejected SNL sketches with jazz hands. And let's not even start on the interviews. The charisma level of a malfunctioning animatronic. Watching Colbert talk to celebrities was like watching a robot read IMDb trivia while blinking Morse code for help. At some point, he stopped being a host and started acting like a sermon. In a suit, Gutfeld summed it up. Colbert wasn't doing humor. He was holding office hours for the woke.
It's the dust. You know, we beat all these guys at my show, and we're only in 61 million homes. CBS reaches nearly 300 million Americans. They don't talk about that. He also had 200 staffers. I employed nothing but teenage runaways. And by the way, I don't even pay them.
Megyn Kelly brought precision sarcasm to the autopsy. She painted Colbert as a black hole of charisma, a vacuum dressed up as variety. She didn't just laugh at his downfall. She studied it like a science experiment in what happens when someone mistakes agreement for talent. When the echo fades, so does the applause. Gutfeld took it further. He said Colbert's arc was pure satire, a guy who started by mocking the elites and ended up as their screensaver. His show was the comedy version of CNN at the airport, background noise for people too polite to change the channel. They threw money, guests, props, even a syringe in a dance routine at his sinking ratings. And still, viewers bailed, like it was a fire drill. The only thing they didn't try, asking if it was actually funny.
Would you look at this?
There are quite a few billionaires who support you. You are from Northern California, after all, where they grow them in fields out there. Who's your favorite billionaire? Because we all have a favorite billionaire. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Oprah. I'm sorry. I claimed Oprah. You can't take her now.
What's happened to him is what happens to virtually every news personality and late night personality and host of popular shows, podcasts, etc., which is they start getting invited to parties with him.
Megyn didn't just throw shade, she tore down the tent. She torched the late night formula, canned laughs, robotic interviews, and activism disguised as improv. She said what we all felt but few dared say. Colbert wasn't entertaining, he was exhausting. Predictable, and in comedy, that's fatal. He had one trick, and by season 6, the rabbit was in therapy. Gutfeld laughed through it all. Colbert's collapse wasn't dramatic, it was slow and painful, like a Wi-Fi outage during a Zoom call. Ratings plunged. Viewers dipped. Advertisers ghosted in Colbert. He just kept doubling down on smug TED Talks disguised as punchlines.
costs more than $100 million a year to produce and is losing more than $40 million a year. That's unbelievable. So net, it takes in about 60. It's losing $40 million a year. He writes CBS execs had been mulling for a long time whether to pull the plug.
This is amazing for so many reasons, but culturally it's so indicative of it's another
Megyn and Greg landed the knockout. You can't build a legacy on vibes, Megyn said. Eventually, someone checks the receipts. And Colbert's were all expired coupons and dusty props. She mocked his last desperate lunges for relevance. Dance numbers, musical inflation skits, political cosplay, and none of it stuck. When your jokes need a footnote, she said, "You're not a comedian. You're a guidance counselor." Greg wrapped it up like only he can. Colbert's show was the vegan burger of comedy, processed, weirdly colored, and only liked by people pretending to laugh. The cancellation wasn't cruel. It was math, a punchline that finally landed after years of people being too polite to ask, "Wait, is this still supposed to be funny?"
Terrible man. I really think he's just not a good guy. I mean, he completely took that show, which was a great sort of platform in nighttime television, and the Ed Sullivan Theater, and completely drove it into the ground. He had originally been at Comedy Central, where he was more comedy. And when he moved over to CBS, he decided to be more pundit. He desperately wanted to be Keith Olbermann. And guess what? Keith Olbermann is a failure. And now so are you, Stephen Colbert.
And just like that, Colbert's legacy became someone else's punchline, and finally, it's getting laughs. He's now a cautionary tale pinned to late night's wall of shame, right between Jimmy Fallon tries too hard and James Corden ruins traffic. You'd think he'd reinvent himself. But no, he faded out like a broken screensaver. He didn't just run out of jokes, he ran out of relevance. Megyn said it best, every Colbert speech felt less like comedy and more like a hostage tape filmed in front of Whole Foods. Gutfeld wasn't done either. He pointed out the hypocrisy. Colbert mocked everyone for being out of touch while slowly becoming the most tone-deaf man on television. Watching Greg peel back that moral superiority was like power washing a chalkboard covered in smug. Brutal, satisfying, and very, very overdue. There's something poetic about a man who mocked cancel culture getting quietly canceled. By irrelevance, no backlash, no outrage, just dead silence. And let's face it, worse than being canceled is being forgotten.